ago, the Browns have been mentioning a blockbuster deal for Brandon Aiyuk. Now, how realistic is that trade? I mean, the Browns, if you want to look at it from a strategic standpoint, have the most capital to offer. They do have a first-round draft pick, and they do have a receiver in Amari Cooper that is of a caliber of a number one receiver. In the case that they didn't get a contract done, it makes kind of sense that if you look at Brandon Aiyuk and you look at Amari Cooper, the value kind of matches. But we examine this clip from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Mikey McNuggets, Tyvis Powell, and Jason Lloyd. How realistic is that? And would you guys be willing to give up Amari Cooper for a deal for Brandon Aiyuk? You guys put it in the comment section below what you think about this trade. Would you make the deal, and why or why not? And when I get back, we'll talk about why I would or would not make the deal coming up here next. This is a clip for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show detailing what this would look like for a Brandon Aiyuk type deal for the Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns and San Francisco 49ers could, in theory, be trade partners for Brandon Aiyuk. The 49ers have yet to commit long-term money to Brandon Aiyuk. Amari Cooper's entering the last year of his contract. The Niners don't seem keen on paying Aiyuk $30+ million a year, which is what he is apparently asking for. So, Tyvis, I'll start with you on this. If the Brandon Aiyuk rumors are a possibility, does it make sense for the Browns to try and acquire the second-team All-Pro receiver from the San Francisco 49ers?
Is it worth giving up? Is he worth maybe losing out on some defensive players? Maybe you can't pay Martin Emerson. Maybe you can't pay JOK. Like, it's certain guys that will be affected by that move. And I don't know if he's that good enough for me to give up all of those extra pieces, if that makes sense. Don't get me wrong. He's a really good player, really good wide receiver, very athletic. But I don't know if I'm willing to part ways with other key pieces on the other side of the ball for him, if that makes sense.
If I'm the Browns, I do it in a second. And I love Amari Cooper. I do that in a second.
Aiyuk's better than Cooper. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yes.
He's better than Cooper.
And he's younger.
Yes. So you essentially got your offense. You got 2 wide receivers and your quarterback and your tight end for 4 years.
And you're already all in on Deshaun, so
might as well go all in.
Give him every option you can.
Now, listen, shout out to those guys on UCSS. And, usually you say, G. Bush, you the leader of the Kool-Aid Mafia. You want all of those guys. You want all of the picks. You the leader of forget them picks. Let me get some players that can help me right now. You want Deshaun Watson to be one of those guys that's going to be able to thrive because he has all the weapons he needs. Why in this circumstance are you not all over this Brandon Aiyuk trade? Why do you not like it? Why are you not as exuberant as we've seen you be when it comes to upgrading the Cleveland Browns? And I'm going to give you that right now. See, we talk about this a lot, right? And one of the things that we talk about is this: relationships matter. Because when you look at the relationships, right, we take a look at Deshaun Watson, we take a look at Amari Cooper. If you were to trade Cooper for Brandon Aiyuk, one of the things that you got to realize is there is no relationship right now with Deshaun Watson and Brandon Aiyuk. Not only is there no relationship with him, there is a very limited relationship with him being on the field with Elijah Moore, right? He only played 6 games, right? It's very limited with him actually playing with Elijah Moore or any of the other younger guys that weren't getting minutes. The Tillmans of the world, the David Bells of the world, the Jamari Thrash, who was a rookie. And another big elephant in the room is you don't even know, you have no experience with Jerry Jeudy. So do you want to go into a season where you have a new offensive coordinator in Dorsey? Ken Dorsey, do you want to go in with a brand new guy calling the plays, which that's probably going to happen this year? You're going to have a brand new number 2 receiver in Jerry Jeudy, who you never had any chemistry you played with. You're going to have a brand new chemistry, or limited chemistry with Elijah Moore. Now you want to swap your most experienced receiver and route runner in Amari Cooper, who's been here, who's been productive, who's a big-time member of that locker room, and you want to swap him out with Brandon Aiyuk? That's a whole lot to ask. I've never, and I dare say this, there's never been a championship caliber team that is swapped out there. It has started with 2 brand new targets. Their number 1 and number 2 targets We're completely new people with a new quarterback and a new. It just doesn't happen. You're asking for too much for those guys to hit the ground running. Deshaun Watson barely has any chemistry with some of the guys that he already has on the roster. Now you're going to turn it over again. Now, granted, Brandon Aiyuk is a great player. I think, McNuggets talks about this a little bit as well. McNuggets goes and he talks about the fact that Brandon Aiyuk is a better player. Now, look, skill set wise, it's hard to argue with what he said. I do like Amari Cooper as a better route runner. I just trust Amari Cooper. And Amari Cooper is a guy that, for me, the stage is never too big. For me, he's a guy that I know what I'm going to get. He's going to play injured. He's going to play hurt. He's going to catch the ball when somebody is there that's a journeyman quarterback. He's also going to catch the ball when you have a franchise superstar quarterback. He just does those things. And he's the type of dude that you need in that locker room. And we talk about why relationships matter is because there is no relationship between Jerry Jeudy and Brandon Aiyuk and you if you brought him in for an Amari Cooper. Another thing is, I'm not a huge person on locker room chemistry. I know that you need guys in there and you need guys to like each other and you don't need guys in there to be fighting one another. But for the most part, I'll try to hold you accountable and to be a professional player and to come and do your job regardless of what's going on in the locker room. But I'll say this. There's something to be said about what they're trying to build. Andrew Berry is going to talk about that coming up a little bit with talks of Nick Chubb and what he means, and also what the Cooper deal is and what Amari Cooper brings to the locker room. But I just have to say this: the Browns are very for the most part, they are a very high character team. And the problem that I always had with people was when they started talking about Deshaun Watson and why they couldn't rock with the Browns because of the allegations that he had. And I thought it was disrespectful to the rest of the people on the roster. If you're a fan of the team, if you're a fan of what the Cleveland Browns are, how could you say and turn your back on the organization because you don't like allegations based on one person who's coming into the organization? That don't change the way that you should feel about Amari Cooper, who's a grade A human being. Nick Chubb, grade A human being. Myles Garrett, grade A human being. Let's keep it look. Denzel Ward, grade A human being. Kevin Stefanski, grade A. Andrew Berry, grade A. Listen, these guys are dudes that do the right stuff. They talk the right way. David Njoku is an awesome guy. Like, you look across our roster, Joe Batonio, Wyatt Teller, you look across down in and look for position group to position group. The Cleveland Browns have grade A individuals for what they do in the community, right? Greg Newsom's an awesome kid, awesome guy. So when we talking about all these, how could you say you're not a Browns fan based on that when you got all the other? Did you forget about all the other guys and the great stuff that they do? So for me, Amari Cooper just personifies what they're trying to build. So for me, I look at it and say he's been super productive. He's a guy that's come in here and embraced it. He does his work. He does his job. He comes and does it. And I know Brandon Aiyuk had a great year last year. And I know Brandon Aiyuk is a top-notch guy and he's younger and you could do that. But it's something to be said for, I believe, in what Amari Cooper is going to bring to the table. I believe that he's dependable. We just had a show today that you guys on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Bucky Brooks said that Calvin Johnson's 1,900, almost 2,000 yards. He gave 5 guys that could possibly break that this year. And guess who one of those guys was? Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper, one of the guys he thinks can get 2,000 yards in a year. That just goes to show you that it's just not character. The way people feel about Amari Cooper is on the field and off the field. Let's not forget, he does have the all-time record for receiving yards in the game. And, he's a guy that you want to look at. To me, it's just too steep. I got to turn the roster over. Yes, I know you want to get younger at other positions, but I can't have 2 new receivers trying to figure out some I can't have them trying to figure out this connection with Deshaun Watson in a pivotal season like we talking about this year.